All right, helps turn on the microphone. Again, welcome. My name is Mike Fortman from the Telegraph Herald. Everybody enjoy their meal? All right. Special thank you to our friend Kevin and the entire team out here at the Dubuque County Fairgrounds. So Kevin has been a long-time friend of the Telegraph Herald, and we appreciate him being involved in this event. I'd also like to give a shout out to the fact that we are live streaming this event on the telegraphherald.com website. And so you see a couple of cameras here. Everybody wave at the cameras because we are going out on the World Wide Web all across the world. People are sitting in their homes watching this event. So we're all right. So at the Telegraph Herald, we're beyond thrilled to host the second annual Tri-State Farm Families of the Year event. And why is that? Because once in a while, you need a doctor. This year it seems to be more than once in a while, but once in a while you need a doctor. Once in a while, you need a dentist. Once in a while, you need a police officer. Once in a while, if you're like my friend Tom Barton over here, you might need a lawyer. But we all like to eat, right? Yeah, everybody likes to eat. So every day we need a farmer. And not just once a day. Most of us 3 times a day, every day, we need a farmer. And you know, that doesn't change during times of a pandemic. When we have things like temporary business closures, shelter-in-place orders, quarantines, and all those things that we never thought about until 2020. Well, some of us have been conducting business out of our basements, having virtual Zoom meetings, and all that kind of stuff. That's not what our beloved farmers have been doing. They've been doing what they do every day. They continue to produce and provide all forms of food and dairy products, just like they always have. So let me say it again. Every day, you need a farmer. And tonight, we celebrate our farmers. Of course, no event like this could be possible without the support of sponsors, and we're very, very grateful for the businesses who have helped make tonight possible. Our friends at Tyson's, I know there's a group here at Tyson's. Thank you very much for being a part of this. By the way, great looking insert in yesterday's Telegraph Herald. Just wanted to point that out. Southwest Wisconsin Technical College, Spawn and Rose. These sponsors are getting all this great attention all across the world tonight because of our live stream, so that's great. Gavilon, and I know Bill from Gavilon is here tonight, so we appreciate that. And again, the Dubuque County Fairgrounds. I'd also like to recognize a few folks from the Telegraph Herald who I am privileged and honored to have the opportunity to work with every day. Bob Woodward, to my left, your right. Bob is the Vice President of Woodward Community Media and the publisher of the Telegraph Herald. Amy Gilligan in the back. Amy is the Telegraph Herald's executive editor. Matt Conley, even further in the back. Matt Conley is the Telegraph Herald's interactive media and database director. We have Michelle Schmidt in the back. She is the Telegraph Herald director of custom products and events. Again, to your right, Luke Rodham. Luke is the retail advertising manager at the Telegraph Herald. Paul Karutside in the back, he's back there, kind of a quiet guy, small wave. Paul's the Telegraph Herald multimedia specialist, and he put together all the videos for tonight, so I think you'll be really, really pleased to see those. Jody Dodd in the back. She's the Telegraph Herald Events Coordinator and did a lot of the legwork to get this event pulled together. And last but certainly not least, I feel like we have the best sales and marketing team anywhere. And from that team tonight, we have Tricia Nelson, Teresa Lyson, and Wendy Vosberg. All right. So now we're going to move on to our guest speaker for tonight. It's a real pleasure for us to be able to welcome our keynote speaker this evening, and that's Dr. Larry Tranel. Dr. Larry Tranel is a 31-year veteran of extensions, spending 10 years in Lafayette County, Wisconsin, as an agricultural agent. The past 21 years as dairy field specialist with Iowa State University Extension and Outreach, which is officed in Dubuque, but covers 23 counties in northeast and southeast Iowa. He specializes in financial management, dairy facilities, low-cost parlors, grazing, and farm mental health. In addition to his extension career, Larry and his family are also still personally involved in production agriculture as well. So please help me give a very warm welcome to Dr. Larry Tranel. Now, something we wouldn't have had to do last year.
I'll try not to spit on it. So the only thing I do want to correct, it wasn't Lafayette County for you guys from Darlington. You know, I was actually up in Iowa County, just north of you there, so I spent a little time there. But it's been a pleasure to be asked to speak at this year's Tri-State Farm Families of the Year Award ceremonies, as we always appreciate the winners and the competitions. And basically, we know that we appreciate the farm families who spend so much time just tending crops and the animals and their land, but most of all, just the time that you spend as a family doing it. And so it's been a pleasure for me just meeting some of your families, working with some of your families over the years as we go through there. And so I always like myself, I like competitions, so I grew up in a lot of sports, a lot of competitive type things. And so one year I'm at the Dubuque County Fair just sitting right here, and there's these three kids that are bickering back and forth about how fast their fathers are or their parents are. And so the one kid starts saying to the other ones, you know, my dad is so fast that he can cut 10 acres of hay in 10 minutes. And the second kid started thinking, well, that's not so fast. My mom is so fast that she can slice 10 tomatoes in 10 seconds. And so the third kid starts thinking, well, I don't want to be outdone. My dad's so fast. He works for the U.S. government. He gets off work at 5, and he's always home by 4. So being a former dairy farmer, and also, like he said, I'm involved in our Tranel Family Farms by Keeler, Wisconsin, so still a Wisconsin dairy farmer, even though I work in here in Iowa. And I did spend a lot of times, like you said, so 10 years up in Iowa County, Wisconsin, 21 years here working with dairy. And so everybody says, well, you must really like dairy cows, not? And I say, no, not really. I really don't like cows that much. Maybe you guys do, but I never really liked the cows as much, even being a dairy farmer. But I truly love the farmers that work with the dairy. It's the people that work with them, the families that work with the dairy cows, and it's the industry personnel that work with the dairy cows as well. And I've got a lot of my notes actually written here, and there's no lights up here, so I'm pretty much in the dark up here with some of my notes here. But it's the love of the family and the togetherness and just that working together on the farms. And when parents, and I see parents and kids working together for different goals. And I found out tonight that one of these, how old is he? He's trained so well that he's got a business plan, which I tend to like to see. So working together, but it's the love of the land when we see the cows grazing so well on the hillsides or in a confinement barn so well cared for with cow comfort, and it's the conservation practices and a lot of the just the well-managed crops that are being either planted or harvested with your favorite lines of machinery. And I do find out as I visit from farm to farms that there is a religion to certain different types of machinery on farms. So when the kids are playing with the newborn calves and as they take a look at just working through the successes and the challenges that U.S. farm families work through day to day, and just to try to help people succeed means a lot to me. But it's also the stress and the grief that so many farm families go together, or as we just take a look at remodeling a dairy facility or trying to build a new one. But I think it's a lot of those things that we take a look at on dairy farms, but truly it's the joy of working with dairy farm families over the years, and some of the toughest times, especially in these last 5 to 6 years, are probably some of the toughest times. I know 2009 was bad for dairy, and some other years were as well, but just you go through those cycles, and just watching farm families go through the cycles of growth, but there's a lot of joy that they go through, and there's a lot of things that they learn, and especially teaching their kids. So in the past couple of years, my career has actually turned around quite a bit, so it's not just production agriculture anymore. I'm probably spending about 50% of my time actually working with farm mental health. And so when we take a look at helping farmers just deal with the stress of the farming, the grief of the markets that time in those various years when we had and some other losses they had experienced, that I get asked a lot, why do I, as a person who has a doctorate in psychology, why am I working in the dairy industry? And I wrestled with that for quite a few years as well, but I think I kind of found it out here in the last few years, what we've kind of gone through in the industry. And so we've had some tough times. All of agriculture has had some tough times trying to just make ends meet, and that's not a pun on words, but making the ends meet. But then we come up with COVID. That was supposed to be funny. But then we come up with COVID on top of it when we finally thought we'd start seeing some of the light at the end of the tunnel. And then part of my territory and a little further south of here and to the west as we come up with that derecho storm. And we've just had some farms, some dairy farms that were just flattened, some grain bins, not some grain bins, most of the grain bins, if they weren't full of grain, were kind of flattened as well. And so a lot of struggles. I know it actually got, it was hard to actually get it onto the national press. To really realize what was going on there. So we not only had a recipe for farm stress and for farm grief, but it actually turned into exhaustion in listening to some of them things, just trying to take care of day-to-day things. Appreciate that, because I didn't think I could even hear myself. So can everybody hear me now? I should have probably asked that better. Should I start over? No, just kidding. But when we take a look at just the whole contribution of what they're trying to go through, but I tend to find dairy farmers and other types of farmers, and I didn't always work in the dairy industry, but a lot of farmers that I've worked with, just when we take a look at just the resourcefulness and how resilient they are, and when we have a derecho hit, just how helpful they are to their neighbors and things like that. It's just some traits that I just really appreciate being involved with the farmers as they are. So the other thing we mentioned that farmers sometimes don't think of themselves as economic development engines. Have you ever thought of yourself that way? So I'm going to pick on the dairy farmers as well, that every dairy cow generates about $25,000, actually over $25,000 worth of economic activity based on research each and every year. So just think about that. You multiply a small dairy farm by 100 cows, so you're talking about $2.5 million of economic activity that one farm generates. And it's not just dairy. You do it with beef. You do it with different types of crops, maybe not to the same intensity level. But I want you to think of yourselves as economic development engines, because the local economies would not be the same if you weren't part of it. So I'd also like to say that, and I say this quite a bit, is don't make fun of a farmer while you're eating, because they give you the privilege to eat so that you can worry about other things and not worry about where your next meal is coming from. So last year I had the pleasure, I wrote an article for the local paper, our Telegraph Herald, to help honor our farmers, because sometimes we don't realize the freedoms that our farmers truly do give us. So freedom is a word that is changing daily in our society, and it's changing as I speak. And I pray that generations that are living today understand the price that our servicemen and servicewomen have paid over the years, and we don't want to let go of those freedoms that so many gave their lives for. And so with all due respect to our servicemen and women, I want to turn the tables of freedom to our American farmers, to our local farmers that are present here as well, because so few people recognize the freedoms that the American farmers give to each one of us, and they give it to us daily. So we realize that agriculture It comes in many shapes, forms, sizes, a lot of different enterprises, things that we're doing on our farms. Some are big, some are small. But every one of us who is not a farmer can be so because of those who are farmers. To think about that. So many of us can take other jobs not producing food because of the American farmer who is so darn good at it. So today the U.S. farmer, as you probably well know, feeds over 155 people on average each day, every day of the year. And approximately just over 1% of these Americans take that high risk of actually being a farmer to make food available to us. That itself is very low risk to those of us that buy it, both in food safety and also financially. So again, the rest of us get to have that freedom to do something else. So if you go to a grocery store in this country, anybody know how many choices you have in the average grocery store in this country? I get confused when I go there. There's just way too many choices sometimes. But over 5,000 choices of good food, wholesome food, safe food. And I've been in countries, and a lot of countries around the world, where those choices are so much more limited. Sometimes maybe half that, sometimes it's 20% of that. In some areas of the world, it's hard to get food. So even in our own country, we have these food deserts, but it's a distribution issue, certainly not a production issue. So we have our farmers to thank for our great, wholesome food that we have and the freedom to choose what we want to eat. So on many trips overseas, I often hear some of my colleagues say when I take them with me that I'm never going to complain again about our U.S. food system. I'm not going to complain anymore about the safety of our food because you don't realize how safe it is until you don't have that food safety when you're eating about in the rest of the world. So in addition to our military personnel, our farmers also provide us with a very different, but yet a very important freedom in our life. So thanks to farmers, the rest of us can focus on freedoms that are provided that we can just go out and do whatever we want to do with our personal lives, with our professional lives, because we don't have to spend that much time producing our food. So, and get this. So farmers do all that for us, and they still allow 90% of our disposable income to stay in our pockets, which is a level that's unprecedented in the rest of the world. Because a lot of countries, they're spending 30%, sometimes 40%, even 50%, or even more to actually purchase their food. So again, when we think of the great veterans who have given so much freedom, maybe we should just add to that list the American farmers who work so hard and sacrifice so much, often for so little pay, and we realize there's a lot of other rewards we do with it, often in a dangerous work environment as well, to give us, again, those freedoms of both extra time and money to do with whatever we please. And yet, farmers are so often criticized for this non-normal lifestyle or this drudging work environment, both time commitment and sometimes you got to work in the muck. Okay? That used to be much more the norm for people to be familiar with. So back in the day, there were so many social activities that were scheduled around milking time or chore time, but not so much anymore. Adding to the farm stress for more of a social context as well with the non-farming community. So farmers also tend to have a very high work ethic, a very high environmental ethic and animal care ethic. So despite what we see in the media some from time to time, and I'm not talking about the TH here, of course. It's the national media, yeah. So I always got to make that straight. So the bottom line is that our farmers have a necessary resiliency for risk. And I've seen that in working with farmers on some of the toughest issues they've had to work with trying to get out of farming. Things just aren't working out. They definitely have a lot of resiliency for that risk, both financial and otherwise. And it's a work ethic sometimes that would put the rest of us to shame. So I've helped work many farm families through some tough times, as I said. And again, yeah, that resiliency and that work ethic to make it through, to get over a hump, just to see the next day, to see the next year. But even more importantly, the work that they put through to see the next generation succeed is so very, very commendable. So on behalf of the non-farming community, we thank all of you and our local farmers who protect our freedoms of time so that, again, we can do our own thing and, again, still keep that 90% of disposable income into our pocket. So we thank our farmers, or at least we don't criticize them or put them down, again, when we've got our mouth full. So I'd like to share a few thoughts to always live your farm life just by a few tidbits of advice, to live it to the fullest. So the first one is to never lose hope. Hope is that one word. As I work in counseling, when people lose hope, things get tough. Okay, so it's tough to face the challenges, as hope gives us strength to keep on going when even we feel that we're in despair, wanting to give up. So again, never lose hope. Number 2 is don't quit believing in yourself. Your dreams, your farming adventures, faith in yourself and your farm, it gives you a grand reason for just getting up in the morning and putting your best effort forward. So give your life the best, and that best in life tends to work its way back to you. The third one is to don't let anyone hold your happiness in their hands. So seek advice and consultation, yes, but your decisions and your happiness really reside within your power of who you are, not who the world thinks you should be. Number 4 is to measure your success by the wealth of family, friends, faith in your community. Because the richness of those memories and the other relationships that you have in your life, I tend to say, even as a financial advisor, it's your best net worth in life. Number 5 is focus on the good. So many people in life let the down times define who they are. So how do we make sure that we're proactive, we're resilient in overcoming or working through the bad times to build strength, to become even more resilient as you age? Number 6 is don't hesitate to reach out to others to both give and to receive help. So some of the best farmers that I continue to work with, without a doubt, they seek their thoughts and ideas from others. They don't go it alone. And research will undoubtedly show that our stress tends to lessen when we focus on helping others rather than be so concerned or dwelling on our own concerns in our life. So it's the things that we do for others, the things that we do for ourselves that tends to die with ourselves. But what we do for others, it lives on in the hearts and the minds of those people we've touched, and hopefully forever. So number 7 is run towards the things and the people that you love. Because so often people seem to do the opposite. They run away when the tough times come. So love is often a product of faith and hope in God and others, and it's one of the greatest of virtues. So number 8 is when things go wrong, don't feel like you've lost. As life is difficult, and it's in working through those difficulties in life, in a sense, that truly give life its meaning, because that's how we grow best, I think, as people. Number 9 is to keep your self-respect as a person, as a parent, as a farmer. And it's tough for others to respect us if we don't respect ourselves and take care of ourselves. So be proud of who you are as a farmer, because you mean so much more to your local communities than any of you can probably ever imagine. Number 10, keep life and the farm in perspective, as that farm is a means to an end, not an end in itself, because you can't take it with you when you die, but you will take the love and the spirit of family and friends with you. And even though you can't take that farm with you when you die, I think I know a few people that will try. And maybe most important is to walk through life with a smile. So know that smiling increases our serotonin levels. It's the happiness hormone. So could I get a smile from everybody, just real quickly? So I need to, and I appreciate seeing it. You can take your mask off to do it if you want. But the bottom line is, if I have to do an impact report, I can say that I just increased, about 100 people's serotonin levels in just about a 30-second comment. So how do you force yourself to smile even when you don't feel like it? Because research will show that even if I stick a pencil between my teeth to simulate a smile, even though I don't feel like it, research shows it will increase my serotonin levels. Okay, so when we look in the mirror, how do we force ourselves to smile? Again, even if we don't feel like it. But keeping that positive attitude, a high propensity to laugh, to better overcome the trials, the tribulations of life, and whether there be farming or family or whatever, but just to be proud of who you are as a farmer, a caretaker, again, of the land, the animals, the steward of the environment, caretaker of your family, a financial risk taker, playing the risk of prices and weather, and again, raising that beautiful family on a farm. But know that you are a freedom maker, and knowing that certain ways you provide so many freedoms to others because of what you do. So congratulations again to all the winners, and thanks for being here and for all that you do. And may God bless the American farmer, and especially all of you gathered here this evening. Thank you.
So, Larry, thank you so much for those profound words of wisdom. And ladies and gentlemen, please express your appreciation for Dr. Larry Tranel being here tonight. All right. As many of you know, we asked for nominations for our Tri-State Farm Families of the Year awards, and we got several, which makes the selection process very fun and very challenging. But we're really excited about what we have to offer tonight. We will be presenting awards for the Telegraph Herald Tri-State Farm Family of the Year for the following categories: Dairy Farm, Grain Farm, Organic Farm, and Livestock Farm. Each winner will receive a beautiful photograph, an aerial photograph of their farm that was taken by the Telegraph Herald's very own Dave Kettering and Jess Riley from our photo staff using a drone, and these were converted onto canvas. So in addition to that, they'll also receive a nice gift basket, which among other things includes a $100 gift card to Tyson's. So I'll ask Bob Woodward to come up here to help with the award presentations. Kind of the cadence on how this will work is I'm going to talk a little bit about each winner. Paul's going to show a video. Then there's going to be like an awkward 5-second delay because we go from showing the video to going back live for our live streaming. So just bear with us. So our first award tonight is the Tri-State Dairy Farm Family of the Year, and it goes to the Steve and Lisa Carpenter family, owners of Red Rock View Farms, Darlington, Wisconsin. So I was kind of tasked with putting together a few thoughts on and pulling out a few items from nominations and the article that was in the paper, and to try to shrink all these down to one page was a chore in itself. So you're not going to hear everything, but you're going to get a flavor for the recipients of tonight's awards. So the Carpenters purchased Red Rock View Farms from Steve's parents, Jerry and Marilyn, in 1995, and they have expanded it to its present size of 600 milking cows and about 1,500 acres. You're right, the light up here isn't very good, is it? Steve and Lisa encouraged their 4 kids to get college degrees and go into the work world to be their own boss. Well, as you might imagine, all came back to work on the family farm and live within 3 miles of it. A few of the organizations that the family are involved in: both Steve and Lisa, 4-H leaders for over 20 years. All of the kids were active in 4-H and are now 4-H leaders. Steve, Lisa, their kids, and spouses are all lifetime FFA alumni members. Steve is president of Lafayette County Livestock Committee. Steve has served on the Lafayette County Dairy Promotions Committee. Red Rock View Farms is one of 4 dairy farms in Lafayette County that founded Day at the Dairy, which I found to be really interesting as I was reading about that. So these 4 farms founded this opportunity, and it rotates among the 4 farms each year, which is a pretty cool thing. And since it began in 2013, over 2,800 4th graders have been out to these 4 farms and get to experience what it's like for a day on the farm. Steve is also a founding member of the Lafayette Ag Stewardship Alliance, which protects natural resources for the next generation of farmers. He is also a director of Scenic Rivers Energy Cooperative, which is a private nonprofit utility. So I'd like to say that they're a pretty busy family. So with that, Paul will roll the video.
I've been dairy farming my whole life. Started when I was little. Always have loved cows, and we started, Lisa and I bought this farm in '95 from my parents. We milked in a stanchion barn before, and now we've grown from probably an 80 cow herd up to our current 600 cows that we milk now. We also have all our young stock that we take care of, and we do some, all of our own cropping of chopping and planting and all harvesting, and even do some custom work also. We currently farm about 1,500 acres. It's all within probably a 6-mile radius. So Red Rock View Farms employs about 10 people. That's not including myself or my wife Lisa. Like I said, we have 6 Hispanics that do a majority of the milking. 2 of our sons that do a lot of the work with the cow, 1 with the cows, 1 more with the heifers and machinery, and then Carson does a lot of the works part-time here, as he has an off-farm job a little bit too, but helps with as we're doing crops with chopping and planting. Besides our kids who are here, we do have great employees that have helped us get where we are. Bob Hermanson's been with us, he's our feeder, been with us, and we've had other employees in the past, but we would not be where we are with not only our family members, but our employees who we feel are part of our family. The pandemic hasn't really affected us a whole lot on our operation. Obviously, with the dairy cows, they have to be fed and milked every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week we have it. So the one thing we have done, obviously the community's been affected somewhat, but we have 10 employees on the farm, so we've tried to do things to keep the environment safe for them. Well, the biggest challenge, I think, right now in dairy farming is just the fluctuation in pricing. Right now it's been really a roller coaster of up and down, but the last few years prices have really been declined in the dairy industry. So it's been a real struggle that way. It doesn't really matter the size of your farm, big or small. I think we all suffer with the lower prices. We've just tried to become more efficient, do more things on our own than we can, but the key is to grow our own forages and try and do better and just do a better job of production and efficiencies.
For us being on the farm, it's a great place to raise our family. I think that was key for me, for us. And there's other advantages. Your home.
I think one of the biggest advantages, like she said, was a place to raise our family. I don't think either one of us would choose anything different than what we did. And it's nice being your own boss. There's advantages and disadvantages, but it is nice being here. And now with 2 grandchildren that we just got and another one on the way, it's the greatest feeling there is to be able to have them come to the farm and spend time with them and show them the way that we raised our kids. So I think raising our family is probably the biggest asset of having our own farm. So the future of Red Rock View Farms, obviously, we've kind of grown the way we have. Like I said, we started with 80 cows, we're up to 600, but we've done that so our kids could come to the farm, and fortunate for us, they have. I mean, they did try some other things coming out of college, which we asked them to do, but they come back to the farm, so hopefully they can eventually take over and we can retire, play with our grandkids. But I think they're probably going to have to grow even more with the way things are going to try and stay in the industry, but they're talking about that. We're talking about that a little bit, but it's down the road a little bit. I hope that they can take it over, and that's what we built this for, and hopefully it'll go on for future generations.
All right. Congratulations to the Telegraph Herald Tri-State Dairy Farm Family of the Year, the Carpenter family, Red Rock View Farms, Darlington, Wisconsin. Next up, our Tri-State Grain Farm Family of the Year, and it goes to the Mike and Bridget Ray family of Bernard, Iowa. The Ray family truly is a family operation. Not only are Mike and Bridget's 5 children involved in the farm, Mike's brother is active in the business, as is Mike's mom. And one of the things that was near and dear to my heart as I was reading about it is I think Mike described Bridget as the one who does all the cooking. So bless her heart for that. The Ray family farms about 800 acres in the Bernard area. Mike began as an independent sales representative for Pioneer Hybrids in 2000. He established Ray Seed and expanded the business into crop insurance, seed treating, and grid sampling. They used the family farm to test corn and soybean seed to ensure the highest yields possible. Mike and his family actively work with both neighbors and customers to help them be successful as farmers. Mike studies the soils to make sure the best decisions for tilling, fertilizing, seed population, water management, and more are taken care of. As with any crop farmer, he deals with the challenges of markets, machinery breakdowns, insects, weeds, not enough rain, and not too much rain. And let's face it, this week we've covered both ends of the spectrum. Mike has been actively involved in his church, offering his time, talent, and treasures his entire adult life. And both Mike and Bridget are active in Bernard, Cascade, and rural Dubuque charitable activities. Paul?
So we have 5 kids, ages 31 to 15, and Kelvin is the oldest, and he runs the operation too. Colin runs it during the fall season, running the combine. Claire works here too, and she does quite a bit of the work.
Everything.
Everything. And then the other 2 help out in various ways too.
Corn in the fall, and Chloe does, and Corinne does starting to do some chisel plowing and tillage work. Between what Kelvin and Claire and I have, we all run around 800 acres. We do custom spraying and fertilizer applications. On the farm we produce corn, beans, and some grass waterway hay. The pandemic has affected our operation probably the worst by getting parts at dealerships, because you couldn't go into places all spring. After that, it actually made some of it better. For delivering grain, they got it all, so you don't see nobody. You talk to people on radios or phones to line things up, and so you're in and out kind of fast. We run a seed business, so in the seed business, we actually tried to keep it out of the building so we wouldn't have trouble with customers if we ended up getting the virus, so it made a little inconvenience for that, but we got through it anyway this spring. Typical day in the planting season, we'll usually have somebody running a finisher to get finishing done. We got sprayers we'll spray with, so it kind of depends on which day. We try to keep up with technology, whether it's, we fly a drone spraying fungicide now, and we have solar panels on the shed and monitors in the combines and sprayers, and autopilot, so kind of try to keep up with the technology as it comes anyway. The biggest challenge to growing crops in Iowa is the weather, and then weeds and insects. We had bad wind come through around the 8th or 9th of July, blew some corn down. And then relatively dry. Probably took a little bit off our top corn yields. Made it a little easier making hay because it was dry enough. The ground was dry and it was the crops dried out pretty good. But over and all, we can't complain. We had good weather.
I think one of the joys too is just, like Mike said, having everybody together. Mealtime and work time. It's just fun.
As far as the future of the farm, I've got 2 kids working into it pretty hard now. So it looks like they'll be working their way in, and between the seed industry and crop farming, I think they'll just gradually get busier with that.
All right. Congratulations to the Telegraph Herald Tri-State Grain Farm Family of the Year, the Ray family of Bernard. Our next award is a new category. You spoke, we listened. After last year's event, a number of people suggested we add an organic farm family. So tonight, we award our first Tri-State Organic Farm Family of the Year, and it goes to the Jen and Jamie Gammendinger family, Bear Creek Acres Dairy, Edgewood, Iowa. So in announcing that farm family, it's a little bit unique and different because this farm family operation is actually run by Jen and her dad. So it's a father-daughter team. Jen's dad is Alan DeLoe. Now Jen's mom says that, and her name is Nancy, that Jen wanted to be a farmer since the age of 4. Jen and Jamie have 6 children and live adjacent to Jen's parents. They've been certified organic since 1999. Their dairy herd is 100% A2 certified organic and certified grass-fed. They're in the beginning stages of processing their own cheese with their own milk. They also raise beef, pork, chicken, and aronia berries, and I think I read that they call those like chokeberries. Is that right? Because you don't want to eat them by themselves. You got to mix them up in something to taste good. All products are sold directly to consumers. Jamie also renovated an old button factory in Guttenberg and turned it into The Landing, which is a boutique hotel that he owns and manages. The entire family is dedicated and involved in the farm operation. And Jen and Jamie are confident that the succession plan is well in place for the kids coming up behind them. Paul?
When we moved here in 1994, our goal was to farm organically then. It's always been very important to us. My mom is especially sensitive to chemicals and herbicides and things, and so it was important to us to learn how to grow food without all those toxic chemicals. This is an area of the state that my dad's always wanted to live, and so in '94 we moved here, and we have been certified organic since 1999. We also raise beef and pork and chicken, and this year we just started processing our own dairy. We're making A2 cheese. We have a large family. We have 6 children, and they are all involved in this farming process with us, whether it's helping milk the cows, feeding calves, cleaning pens. All of them are involved. They don't always appreciate it, but I'm hoping that one day they will. They are the main reason why we do what we do. The #1 priority is to grow healthy food for our family. Because we're a small family farm, we've decided to sell directly to the customer instead of going through another co-op or another company. And so all of our products are sold directly to the consumer. We value those relationships. So even though we have seen an increase in interest in our products since COVID-19, there are definitely some challenges that go along with that. Getting our meat to the locker in time. The locker is full, and so sometimes we have to wait longer than we'd like to, and then we have trouble keeping up with the demand. I feel like our biggest challenge is getting our name out there and finding people that want what we have to offer. We love living here and we love farming here, and we also get a lot of satisfaction from all of our happy customers. Going forward, we hope to add several new products, and one day I hope that one of my kids or all of my kids will love it here so much that they'll want to continue doing what we're doing. Farming is not an easy occupation, but I think the future of organic farming is strong, and I hope that my children will want to continue farming in the same way.
Congratulations to the Telegraph Herald Tri-State Organic Farm Family of the Year, the Gammer Digger family, Bear Creek Acres Dairy, Edgewood. Sorry that I mangled your name there a little bit. The Gammer Dinger family. All right, our final award tonight is the Tri-State Livestock Farm Family of the Year, and it goes to Brian and Kim Moore and the Moore Family Farm Group of Maquoketa. Brian and Kim, along with their entire family, are described as hardcore farmers. They have 8 kids and all have a hand in the family business. Are you kind of seeing a theme here tonight? Every farm family that we've talked about, the family has had a hand in the farming family business and continues to do so. They collectively farm about 800 acres, both owned and rented, that accommodate a small amount of crops to feed livestock and then the livestock itself. Brian got the opportunity to first work a farm in 1985 near the major metropolitan area of Zwingle. In 1986, he purchased a feed store in Zwingle, which operated until 2007. The Moores also built a trucking business that transports livestock for area farmers and forces Brian to be up at 4:30 to run his routes. Brian also served as a 3-term member of the Iowa House and is a loud voice for farmers. The family boasts a tremendous reputation among area farmers. Paul?
How I got the itch, I guess, is from not being from a farming background, is I'd visit my mom's relatives in Illinois and they farmed. And boy, it was just something unique. I thought, how can you get to stay at home, you get to work, and you get to work for yourself, and what a life that would be. And it started with my dad. He rented just a small place and then some pasture, and we backgrounded some cattle and then fed them out, and then we'd sell locker beef. And we did that while I was growing up, so then when I had the chance, I knew I wanted to be in agriculture after that, so I started by selling feed to be close to it, and then the opportunity for the farm that Brett bought that I started on, went into that on shares with an older gentleman. But there is something about the value of raising your kids on the farm. I seen with our kids, with having 8 of them and growing up on the farm, what's nice today is they are very close with each other and they have close contact and work together, and it's fun to see that. It's great to see that. They come and visit us at least once or twice a month, again, to get some of their mom's good cooking. But oh, what a nice thing to have the house loud. I can just sit there and relax and hearing that loud noise from all of them teasing each other and everything. So it's a great life for a family.
All right.
The amount of acreage we have is, right now the pasture we're in, this area that I have my hog buying station and where I keep the cattle during the winter and wean my calves. It consists of 50 acres right in this area, and then I rent another 100 acres just south of here a mile. That's our feed supply. And then between here and actually Dubuque, I have several pastures that add up to about 700 acres of ground I rent to put the cattle on during the summer after they calve, and we run them out to the pasture then. And then Brett has 108 or 10 acres there where he lives, and he can pasture some cows there, and that's where he grows his feedstuffs. And then he rents another pasture. It's probably another 50, 60 acres that he keeps his cows on during the summer. And then Brant, his farm's up by Bellevue next to his father-in-law, and 138 acres. And then he also, his father-in-law, I don't know the amount of acreage they have, but they run the 60 cows together.
Yeah, we have 100 acres that we crop farm for mainly corn, and then we have 40 acres between feed yards and pasture.
How has the pandemic affected my operation? Well, it's affected the prices depending on when you market it and when you had cattle or hogs ready to go, and it's affected in the way that it's lowered the price to the producer or to us. And then it seems like it's affected the price to the consumer paying more money. So we're getting less, they're getting more. And as the way it's working out, the middleman's kind of getting the feast off the amount of profit on the product right now. Hopefully that'll settle back in as things come back to normal, and we all get to make a little bit on what we do.
On our store side of things, it's actually been great. With what the grocery store is running out and stuff, we've been able, with our local products we have in there, able to keep stuff on the shelves, and so sales have been great there as well. On the feed side of things, with Brigham and Brett and myself, you definitely can see it. People are just a little leaner on everything they're doing, and our customers have been struggling. It's been more of being a therapist the last few months than selling feed, and it has its economic challenges and its work side of it, but all the kids, even us growing up, there's so much that you'll never get from living in the town. It's every day there's something new, good or bad. Like I said, the kids love it. You get all the pets they want. There's no limit on number of animals they can play with, and actually sometimes it's too many, they feel, but I think it's taught us a lot of work ethic and putting the drive in you, and then you go out and do your own thing. And we're all luckily tied to agriculture in some shape or form, and with my kids especially, and I think with my nieces and nephews, it's all giving each of them the opportunity, whether they want to come back to farm on a family farm or do their own thing, and being successful with it is what we're looking for in our kids, and enjoying doing it and doing what you love every day. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
Congratulations to the Telegraph Herald Tri-State Livestock Farm Family of the Year, the Moore family, Maquoketa, Iowa. So Jody asked me to give a few closing comments to conclude tonight's event. And that's kind of a hard thing to do because it's a tough act to follow. When you start out with a great meal from Kevin and his team here at the fairgrounds, Dr. Larry Tranel, and of course our Farm Families of the Year, the Carpenters, the Rays, the Gammerdingers, flowed right off that time, and the Moores. I'd also like to again thank our sponsors, Tyson's, Southwest Wisconsin Technical College, Spahn and Rose, Gavilan, and the Dubuque County Fairgrounds. One thing that really sticks out to me about this year's award winners is how involved the families are in each of the operations. Specifically, how the kids continue to share the passion of farming and the work ethic that was instilled in them by their parents. Someone who's not a farmer but has all of his aunts and uncles that farm, it just gives me great confidence that our next generation of farming is in really good hands. Finally, I want to share a speech that was given at the 1998 National FFA Convention by famous radio personality Paul Harvey. There are few radio personalities more famous than Paul Harvey, and I could never do his speech well, but I can share the content. And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, then go to town and stay past midnight at a meeting of the school board. And so, God made a farmer. I need somebody with arms strong enough to rustle a calf, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to call hogs, tame cantankerous machinery, come home hungry, and have to wait lunch until his wife's done feeding the visiting ladies. Then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. And so, God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to sit up all night with a newborn colt and watch it die. Then dry his eyes and say, maybe next year. I need somebody who can shape an axe handle from a persimmon sprout, shoe a horse with a hunk of car tire, who can make harness out of hay wire, feed sacks, and shoe scraps, who planting time and harvest season will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday at noon, and then painting from tractor's back, put in another 72 hours. So God made a farmer. God had to have somebody willing to ride at double speed through the ruts to get the hay in ahead of the rain clouds, and yet stop in midfield and race to help when he sees the first smoke from a neighbor's place. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody strong enough to clear trees and heave bales, yet gentle enough to tame lambs and wean pigs and tend the pink-combed pullets, who will stop his mower for an hour to splint the broken leg of a meadowlark. It had to be somebody who'd plow deep and straight and not cut corners. Somebody to seed, weed, feed, breed, and rake, and disc, and plow, and plant and tie the fleece, and strain the milk, and replenish the self-feeder, and finish a hard week's work with a 5-mile drive to church. Somebody who would bail a family together with the soft, strong bonds of sharing, who would laugh and then sigh and then reply with smiling eyes when his son says that he wants to spend his life doing what Dad does. And so, God made a farmer. Yes, God made a farmer. And so in closing tonight, I say, thank you, God, for making farmers. Thank you, farmers, and thank you all for joining us tonight. You're welcome to stay, enjoy each other's company, enjoy the refreshments at the bar, whatever those may be. And if you're here too long, Kevin will kindly ask you to leave. Thank you again.